Hello and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library, our first podcast episode for the new year, January 2024. Happy New Year, Katie!
Happy New Year! I'm so excited for this year.
Oh, there are so many good books in general coming out. There's good cookbooks coming out. There's amazing dark books coming out, especially it looks like in March. But we are here today to talk about January 2024 adult fiction releases that are dark, horror, gothic, a little bit weird, a little bit of dark fantasy. But we have not read any of these books yet. We don't have advanced copies from publishers. Hint. So all we're doing is letting you know about stuff that's coming out soon that we're very, very excited to read about or read. And by the way, if you should need to, we have Amazon affiliate links in our show notes and on YouTube in our description. And you can click those to go check out the books, possibly shop for them. If you do, we will get a tiny commission. Katie, why don't you start us off with the first book we're excited about this year?
Yes, we just added this one because it sounded so interesting. It is called Anna O. It is by Matthew Blake, and it came out January 2nd, so today as we record. Apparently, this is a crime novel. So what if your nightmares weren't actually nightmares at all? And we spend around 33 years of our lives asleep. Did you know that?
I didn't do the math, but I do love taking naps, so I think that number is higher for me.
I wished I liked to nap. So, what really happens and what are we capable of when we are asleep? Anna was a budding 25-year-old writer with a very bright future, but one night she stabbed two people to death with no apparent motive.
That's kind of bitchy.
I know. And her audacity, she still hasn't woken up from this event. She's still asleep. She is called the Sleeping Beauty by the tabloids. Anna's condition is a rare psychosomatic disorder known to neurologists as resignation syndrome. I hope we all don't fall under this category soon. We're all just resigned to life. So Dr. Benedict Prince is a forensic psychologist and an expert in the field of sleep-related homicides. His methods are the last hope of solving the infamous, quote, Anna O case and waking Anna up so she can stand trial. But he must be careful treating such a high-profile suspect. He's got career secrets and a complicated personal life of his own.
Well, we all do.
Yes. As Anna shows the first signs of stirring, Benedict must determine what really happened and whether Anna should be held responsible for her crimes. And only Anna knows the truth about that night, but Benedict knows how to discover it, and they're both in danger from what they're about to find out. So this sounds interesting. This is called Anna O, and it is by Matthew Blake.
My first book today is highly anticipated by people that have been reading Olivie Blake's Atlas series. It's the third book in the series. It's the Atlas Complex. It comes out next weekend, January 9, 2024. Only the extraordinary are chosen. Only the cunning survive. An explosive return to the library leaves the 6 Alexandrians vulnerable to the lethal terms of their recruitment. Old alliances quickly fracture as the initiates take opposing strategies as to how to deal with the deadly bargain they have so far failed to uphold. Uh-oh. Those who remain with the archives wrestle with the ethics of their astronomical abilities. I want to have astronomical abilities.
Yeah.
While elsewhere, an unlikely pair from the society cohort partner to influence politics on a global stage. And still the outside world mobilizes to destroy them. The caretaker himself, Atlas Blakely, may yet succeed with a plan that's going to have world-ending stakes. It's a race to survive as the 6 society recruits are faced with the question of what they're willing to betray for limitless power, and who will be destroyed along the way. I want limitless power.
I see a theme here, Carrie.
So Olivie Blake wrote the Atlas 6, the Atlas Paradox, and now this is the Atlas Complex. Comes out January 9 from Tor Books.
Woohoo! My next book of today is The City of Stardust. This is by Georgia Summers, and it comes out January 30th. This one sounds very, very interesting. We have a family line named the Everleys, and They have seen their best and brightest disappear, taken as punishment for a crime nobody actually remembers and nobody gets it. Their tormentor is named Penelope, and she never ages, never gets sick, and never forgives a debt. So Violet Everly, one of the last Everlys, was a child when her mother left on a stormy night, and she was determined to break this family curse that's been happening. And Marianne, her mother, never returns. So evil Penelope decides to give Violet an ultimatum. Violet has 10 years to find her mom, or Violet is going to take her mother's place. And like I said, Violet is the last of the Everly line and will be the last to suffer, unless she can break the curse. So her hunt for her mom leads her into this magical underworld where there's power-hungry scholars, there's fickle gods and monsters who are bent on revenge, and into the path of Penelope's quiet assistant, Alexander, who she knows cannot be trusted, and yet to whom she finds herself drawn to. Of course, we know Alexander is going to be that guy in her life. So time is running out, and Violet will travel the edges of the world to find her mother and the key to the city of Stardust, where the Everly story began. This sounds really cool. It's apparently very magical. There's lots of monsters. It's a cool dark fantasy from a debut author. This is by Georgia Summers. This is the City of Stardust. I'm excited.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
My next book is The Djinn Waits 100 Years. It's a novel by Shubnum Khan. It comes out January 9. So Akbar Manzil was once a grand estate off the coast of South Africa. But nearly a century later, it stands in ruins, an isolated boarding house for eclectic misfits seeking solely to disappear into the mansion's dark corridors. Except for Sana. Unlike the others, she is curious and questioning, and finds herself irresistibly drawn to the history of the mansion, to the eerie and forgotten East Wing, home to a clutter of broken and abandoned objects. And to the door at the end, locked for decades. I can never resist creepy house books, especially if there's doors that are locked and you have to open them. Ah! Behind the door, spoiler alert, is a bedroom frozen in time and a worn diary that whispers of a dark past. The long-forgotten story of a young woman named Mina, who died there tragically 100 years ago. Watching Sana from the room's shadows is besotted, grieving Djinn, an invisible spirit who has haunted the mansion since her mysterious death. I'm in!
Yeah.
Obsessed with Mina's story and unaware of the creature that follows her, Sana digs into the past like fingers into a wound, dredging up old and terrible secrets that will change the lives of everyone living and dead at Akbar Manzil. So the publisher is Viking Books, and they do not just publish any random old dark fantasy book. They take their sweet time, finding only the best authors. So I'm very excited to pre-order this book. The Djinn Waits 100 Years, and that's spelled Djinn. The author is Shubnum Khan.
I really love Djinn books.
We got to get this.
Yes. So I have to get it.
You're going to hear me clicking order.
Yes, pre-order. My next book is called Eye of a Little God. It came out January 2nd, and it's by AJ Steiger. This is kind of a wild summary, so I'll do my best here because it's crazy. It's a dark fantasy. Our main character's name is Eddie Luther, and he's a veteran and a drifter, and he lost his delivery job. And it was kind of the last thing that was tethering him to here. He's kind of done with life right now. So he drives into the snowy woods with a bottle of sleeping pills. But instead of a life of eternal silence, he hears a whisper inside of his ear. Help me. So he follows the call and finds this weird journal filled with loneliness and longing. And a journal whose words seem written for him alone. And the clues in its pages drive him on this journey into this shadowy world that's beneath Devil's Fork, Nebraska. Random place. But this...
What is it with all these journal books?
I don't know.
It's a new theme. Find someone's journal.
It's calling to you. So apparently this whole world has okay, so girls turn into cats, which I think is very cool personally. Televisions whisper prophecies, and only those cast out of society can see and use magic. Well, I feel like all of us at some point think we've been cast from society in some way. Maybe this is all happening, or our main character Eddie is losing his mind, but all he knows for sure is that he's falling in love with someone he's never seen, someone who may be more than human, and who will change everything he thinks he knows about the world and his place in it. This sounds like a wild ride. It's got a person in here called the Painted Man. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this book. The cover looks cool. If you're looking for a surreal dark fantasy, Eye of the Little God by A.J. Steiger might be the book for you. What is next for you, Carrie?
It is Exordia by Seth Dickinson. It comes out January 23. It features a character named Anna Sinjari, a refugee, a survivor of genocide, and a disaffected office worker. She has a close encounter that reveals universe-threatening stakes. Enter Srin, a many-headed serpent alien, excuse me, who is on the run from her own past. Okay. Srin and Anna are oh my god, how do I say that word? Dangerously drawn to each other. And their contact reveals universe-threatening stakes. While humanity reels from disaster, Anna must join a small team of civilians, soldiers, and scientists to investigate a mysterious broadcast and unknowable horror. If they can manage to face their own demons, they just might save the world. And the cover of this book is definitely a serpent's golden eye staring at us. It's beautiful.
Ooh.
So it apparently is a dark sci-fi book. It's called Exordia. It's by Seth Dickinson, and I admit I'm intrigued.
That sounds, yeah, I haven't heard of a story like that, so I am too. My next book is called The Fury, and this is a widely anticipated novel by Alex, and I apologize if I say his last name incorrectly, Michaelides, who was the author of The Silent Patient.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this comes out January 16, and our summary begins with the narrator's name is Elliot Chase, and he says, or she says, that they're going to tell you a story that you've probably never heard before, but also sounds very familiar. Ooh. We have a tale of possible murder, maybe not. It's about Lana Farrar, who is a reclusive ex-movie star, and I had no idea you could be an ex-movie star, to be honest. I thought that was just a thing. You are forever. Anyway, so Lana is the most famous woman in the world, or at least one of them. And every year, she invites her closest friends to escape the English weather and spend Easter on her private Greek island. So you've probably read about a story similar to this. And this particular story caused a huge stir in the tabloids. It had all the necessary ingredients for a press sensation. It has a celebrity, a private island cut off by the wind, and, of course, a murder. The author Elliot Chase and Lana and all of these friends find themselves trapped on this place overnight. Old friendships are concealing hatred and desire for revenge, of course. You know, if somebody's a celebrity, I'm sure friends are jealous or whatever. What followed was a game of cat and mouse, a battle of wits full of twists and turns, building to an unforgettable climax. The night ended in violence and death, and one of us was found murdered, and it was possibly Elliot Chase, our narrator. So this book sounds really interesting. It's got a cool cover. It's got like the all-seeing eye. It's very cool. This is The Fury. This is by Alex Michaelides.
And I'm seeing it so much on Book Talk and BookTube and Bookstagram. Everyone is freaking out about that book.
Yes, it looks good.
My next book, I'm checking to make sure. Oh, okay. It is called Gothikana by RuNyx, the author. I'm going to spell that RuNyx. It comes out January 23. The publisher is one I'm unfamiliar with. It's called Bramble. The eternal romance of Beauty and the Beast meets the gothic suspense of Dracula in this erotic dark academia story of epic love.
Ooh.
Woo! I don't usually read erotic books. I'm a little bit of a prude. But for the rest of you, an unusual girl, an enigmatic man, an ancient castle, what could go wrong? So Corvina Clem has been an outcast her entire life, and she is left adrift after losing her mother. Aw. When she receives the admission letter from the mysterious University of Verona, she accepts it as a sign from the universe, but the last thing she expects is an old secluded castle on the top of a mountain riddled with secrets, deceit, and death. Ooh, I'm in. And Vad Deverell has been an enigma his entire life. He likes being a closed book, but knowing exactly everything that happens in the university. He's a part-time professor working on his thesis, and he's been around long enough to know the dangers the castle possesses. And he knows the moment his path crosses with Corvina, she's dangerous to everything that he is. They shouldn't have caught each other's eye. They cannot be. But a chill-inducing century-old mystery forces them to collide. People have disappeared every 5 years over the past century. Corvina is getting clues to unraveling it all, and Vod needs to keep an eye on her. I'm surprised his name isn't Vlad. Anyway, that sounds very dramatic. It's Gothikana or Gothikana. It comes out January 23 by RuNyx.
My next book is another widely anticipated novel. It's The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins.
I have it on pre-order already. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to hear what you think about it because it sounds really interesting. This comes out January 9th, and apparently this is a new, twisted gothic suspense about an infamous heiress and the complicated inheritance she leaves behind. So wait for it. Her name is Ruby McTavish Callahan Woodward Miller Kenmore.
Whoa. I was like, when are you going to stop?
I know, never. It's a whole paragraph. So she dies. She's not only North Carolina's richest woman, she's also its most notorious. Apparently, she was a victim of a famous kidnapping when she was young, and she is a widow 4 times over. And Ruby ruled the tiny town of Tavistock from Ashby House, her family's estate high in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So, in the aftermath of her death, her adopted son, Camden, wants really nothing to do with the house or the money. He doesn't even really want to do anything with the surviving McTavishes. Instead, he rejects all of this, inheritance, family, and all, and he tries to settle into a normal life as an English teacher in Colorado, and he marries a woman named Jules, who is just as eager to escape her own messy past. So they're trying to leave and do their thing.
I don't know. I'm judging him. I'm like, well, how much money are you saying no to, you idiot?
So you could have the money and also just not be at the house. I don't know.
You can still be an English teacher.
You can. Wild.
Okay, I'm judging. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. 10 years later, his uncle's death pulls Cam and Jules back into the family fold at Ashby House. And of course, its views are just as stunning as ever, its rooms just as elegant, but the legacy of Ruby, his adopted mother, is inescapable. The Ashby House tightens its grip on Jules and Camden. Questions about the infamous heiress come to light. Was there any truth to the persistent rumors following her disappearance as a girl?
Oh.
What really happened to those 4 husbands who all died of mysterious circumstances? And why did she adopt Cam in the first place? Soon, Jules and Cam realize that an inheritance can entail far more than what's written in a will, and that the bonds of family stretch far beyond the grave. So this sounds really...
I love the way you read that.
I was trying to do the spooky voice. So this is called The Heiress. Rachel Hawkins also did the best-selling novel The Villa. So if you're looking for another gothic thriller, this is totally it. So check it out. It sounds very good. I want to also read it. What is your next book, Carrie?
It is The House of Last Resort. It's by Christopher Golden, the famous horror author.
Yes.
It's by St. Martin's Press. It comes out all the way at the end of the month, January 30. Now, you know I love creepy house books.
Yes.
So across Italy, there are many half-empty towns, nearly abandoned by those who migrate to the coast or to cities. The beautiful, crumbling hilltop town of Pacina, I hope I said that right, is among them. But its mayor has taken drastic measures to rebuild, selling abandoned homes to anyone in the world for €1, as long as the buyer promises to live there for at least 5 years. And my boyfriend and I were just watching some documentaries and shows about this. We were like,
oh,
do we want to buy a villa for $1? Maybe.
Yeah.
But in real life, you don't have to live there for 5 years. Anyway, so back to the book. It's a no-brainer for American couple Tommy and Kate Puglisi. Both work remotely, and Pacina is the home of Tommy's grandparents, his closest living relatives. It feels like a romantic adventure, an opportunity the young couple would be crazy not to seize. Yeah, go for it, especially if you don't have kids or pets to move in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from the moment they move in, they both feel a shadow has fallen on them. Tommy's grandmother is furious, even a little frightened when she realizes exactly which house they've bought. There are rooms in an annex at the back of the house that they didn't know were there. The place makes strange noises at night. Locked doors are suddenly open, and when they go to a family gathering, there's certain people are whispering about them and their house, which one neighbor refers to as the house of last resort. Soon they learn that the home was owned for generations by the church. But the real secret and the true dread is unlocked when they finally learn what the priests were doing in this house for all those long years, and how many people died in the strange chapel inside. Well, meanwhile, down in the catacombs beneath Pacina, something stirs.
Ooh.
I'm buying it. I have to have it. It's The House of Last Resort by Christopher Golden, and I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah. No, that one sounds really good. Okay, so my next book is called The Last Immortal. This is by Natalie Gibson, and it comes out January 23rd. I have to admit, I kind of like the cover art, but I have this feeling it might be AI generated, which makes me a little sad. So that's just a sidebar here, but the cover art is kind of cool. It's like a little woody or nature, but dark with skeletons and stuff. It's just interesting. So this story is about Lady Ramilla Winmore, and she has suffered gaps in her memory basically her entire life. And this darkness has proven to be a blessing until she awakens one day strapped to an examination table, and she is at the West Freeman Asylum for Lunatics.
Oh, crap. I hate when that happens to me.
I know. Crap. I'm sorry, Carrie. So she is imprisoned for the gruesome murder of her parents, but of course she has no idea what happened because the gaps. She is forced to endure years of torture until her alleged salvation arrives in the form of benefactor Sir Julian Lawrence, who is betrothed to her through an arranged marriage, and he helps her gain her freedom. But of course, appearances are deceiving, and Ramilla learns the cost she must pay. The horrors she encounters in his household are far worse than the asylum, which is scary to me because she was strapped to a table and tortured. Anyway, so when he inducts her into a society of bloodthirsty, cruel immortals, she is forced to join them and accept their way of life. Ooh, is this a vampire story? Oh, I don't know. So she is now armed with talent she doesn't know she has. Ramilla must break free a prison she cannot see, kill an enemy who cannot die, and find a daughter who she cannot remember, all with the help of an ally she doesn't know.
Oh, boy.
Interesting. So this is a gothic horror novel with lots of paranormal stuff in here. It looks really interesting. This is called The Last Immortal. This is by Natalie Gibson.
My next book is Maude Horton's Glorious Revenge. It's by Lizzie Pook. It comes out January 16. A young woman searches for the truth about her sister, who boarded a ship headed to the frozen Arctic and never returned. So 20-year-old Constance Horton has run away from her life in Victorian London, disguising herself as a boy to board the ship called the Makepeace, an expedition vessel bound for the icy and unexplored Northwest Passage of the Arctic. She struggles to keep her real identity a secret on the ship. That would be hard because you'd be having your period and you're on the ship for months.
That would suck.
A feat that only grows more difficult when facing off with the constant dangers of the icy north. Even more dangerous than the cold, the storms, and the hunger are some of the men aboard, including the ship's scientist, Edison Stowe. He seems to be watching Constance, and she knows that his attention could be fatal. So in London, 2 years later, Maude Horton is searching for the truth. After being told by the British Admiralty that her sister's death on board the Makepeace was nothing more than a tragic accident, she receives a diary. Oh, come on. This is the third diary this podcast episode. Revealing that Edison Stowe had more of a hand in Constance's death than the returning crew acknowledged. In order to get the answers she needs, Maude decides to shadow Edison. She joins him on a new venture he started to capitalize on the murder mania that has all of London in a frenzy. Here's the part why we included this book in this podcast episode. There's a travel company that takes guests around the country via train to witness public hangings.
Oh my God.
She wants to extract the truth from him in any way possible. As tensions and dangers mount, it falls to Maude to enact the ultimate revenge to get justice for her sister. Whew, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think I'm curious. It's Maude Horton's Glorious Revenge by Lizzie Pook.
It does seem like there's a lot of Victorian-esque novels too this month, which I'm digging as well.
Yes.
My next book, on the other hand, is not that. I'm taking a break from the Victorian haunted journals. This is a 90s nostalgia thriller novel. It is called Midnight on Beacon Street. This is by Ruth Verona. This comes out January 30th. This all happens on October of 1993. It's one night, one house, and one dead body. So Eleanor is a single mom, and she finally goes out for her date night, like the once-in-a-lifetime day, and she's very excited about it. So she has 2 children, a 6-year-old Ben, who's innocent and sweet, of course, and then a defiant and precocious 12-year-old whose name is Mira. She has her sitter, Aimee, who is very capable of watching the kids and has done that many times before. She's quiet, she's 17 years old, and she does have anxiety disorder, but she still does a pretty good job. She loves horror movies. Yeah, which is weird. I don't know why she likes horror movies, but she says that they're predictable and it calms that inner panic she has that overwhelms her. So that's just kind of setting the tone for the characters. The evening starts out normally enough. Games, pizza, dancing, all the fun stuff.
Sounds good.
But when darkness starts to fall, events in the suburban New Jersey house start to take a terrifying turn. There's unexpected visitors at the door, there's mysterious phone calls, but by midnight, little Ben is in the kitchen, standing in a pool of blood with a dead body at his feet.
What?
So, there's a lot of cool classic horror film feels in this book. Like, it definitely has that 70s, 80s vibe for thriller movie vibes. So this is Midnight on Beacon Street. This is by Ruth Verona, and I'm probably going to pick it up. It sounds like a fun thriller.
My next book is The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels. It's by Janice Hallett, comes out January 23. It is a mystery, and we don't always cover mysteries on this podcast. But you'll see why I like this one. Everyone knows the story of the Alperton Angels, the cult who brainwashed a teenage girl into believing her baby was the Antichrist.
That's hilarious.
When the girl came to her senses and called the police, the angels committed suicide and mother and baby disappeared. Now, true crime author Amanda Bailey is looking to revive her career by writing a book on the case. The Alperton baby has turned 18. Finding them will be the scoop of the year. But rival author Oliver Menzies is just as smart, better connected, and also on the baby's trail. Amanda and Oliver are forced to collaborate. They realize that the truth about the angels is much darker and stranger than they'd ever imagined, and in pursuit of their story, they risk becoming part of it. The publisher is Atria Books. It's The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett, and I think it would be a fun, easy read, page-turner, so I'm going to grab myself a copy. Sometimes I don't want to think too hard about the book I'm reading.
Yes, me too. I have many of those moments. My next book is called The Parliament. It is by Aimee Pokwatka, and it comes out January 16th. This is interesting because it's apparently a combination of The Birds meets The Princess Bride.
Wow, that's great. I love it.
I do too.
Wow.
All right, so we have murder owls in this book, which is great.
Oh, murder owls are my favorite.
I know, they're so... but I love regular owls, too. I don't want the murder owls to ruin the cute owls. Okay, so Madigan Purdy is stuck in her hometown library. Tens of thousands of owls are descending on the building, rending and tearing anyone foolish enough to step outside, just slaughtering them. So Madigan is tasked with keeping her students safe and distracted while they seek a solution to this dilemma. Perhaps they'll find the inspiration they seek in her favorite childhood book called The Silent Queen. So food and water are low in supply, of course, at a library. The denizens of the library will have to find a way out, and soon, but the owls don't seem to be in a hurry to leave. Yeah, so this book is apparently a story of grief and missed opportunities, but of courage and hope, and of extremely sharp beaks. I'm trying to see where the Princess Bride element comes in here, but I guess we're just going to have to read the book. So this is The Parliament by Aimee Pokwatka.
My next book is a reprint of Rosemary's Baby.
Woo!
It's a hardcover copy of the book by Ira Levin, but the author that does the foreword is Chuck Palahniuk. Yay!
Oh, cool.
So Rosemary's Baby is one of the best-selling books of all time. It's a foundational work of suspense and psychological horror, which is just as powerful and chilling as the day it was written. And they're mentioning that Truman Capote called it a darkly brilliant tale. So Rosemary Woodhouse and her struggling actor husband, Guy, are thrilled to move into the Bramford, a sought-after Manhattan apartment building, prized for its Victorian details and gargoyled facade. Yet, as they learn of a darker side to the building's history and become acquainted with their overly attentive neighbors, the Castevets, unspoken tensions enter into the young couple's relationship. Matters improve when Guy lands a major role and Rosemary at last becomes pregnant. Yay! But as her pregnancy takes frightening turns, Rosemary begins to question if her neighbor's heightened interest is strictly innocent, or if their motivations, and those of Guy himself, portend terrifying consequences for her and her unborn child. Is Rosemary going mad or going sane? So this reprint of Rosemary's Baby comes out on January 9.
Also coming out January 9 is Sanctuary of the Shadow, which is the first book of the Elemental Emergence series. This is by Aurora Asher. This is, by the way, a dark fantasy romance, but very heavy on that romance. And this is a limited first print run. By the way, it is very beautiful. So if you're looking for this book in just a very different print, this is very cool. It's got really cool stenciled edges, and I will have that posted on our YouTube channel. So go ahead and go over there and check it out. Very pretty. Our characters here in the story are Harrow, and they live in a place called Salazar, which is the place of mystery and wonder. For Harrow, though, specifically, it's a place to hide from those who slaughtered her entire clan. So she can disguise both her abilities and who she really is in Salazar until some guy arrives. This person has no recollection of who or even what he is. He is, though, a monster. He's got wings, he's got powerful abilities that nobody's ever seen before. But beneath the layers of rage and isolation, one glimpse into those inky black eyes reveals a soul that calls out to the loneliness in Harrow. So she chooses him. She's drawn to the mystery of him, and as powerful enemies align and conspire against them, Harrow knows their only hope is escape. Now, with every secret she unlocks from his past, a shadow from her own whispers free, luring enemies who will stop at nothing to get their final revenge on Harrow. And she's given them the perfect weapon, because her winged beast is not what he seems. But maybe it's time they finally learn neither is she. So this is mostly a romance, but it's still dark fantasy. This is called Sanctuary of the Shadow. This is by Aurora Asher.
My next book is called Sons of Darkness, and there's a wolf on the cover. Ah!
Ooh.
It's by Gaurav Mohanty. I hope I said that correctly. Comes out January 9. Some ballads are inked in blood. Bled dry by violent confrontations with the Magadhan Empire, the Matharan Republic simmers on the brink of oblivion. Senator Krishna and his third wife, Satyabhama, hope I said that right, have put their plans in motion, both within and beyond the Republic's blood-soaked borders, to protect it from total annihilation. But they're soon to discover that neither gold nor alliances last forever, and that they are not the only players on the board. Mati is the pirate princess of Kalinga. I want to be a pirate princess. I have to get a boat first. Well, pirates steal boats. They don't get them. Anyway, she's decided to mend her ways and become a good wife. Well, that's boring. But old habits die hard, especially when one habitually uses murder to settle old scores. I like this lady. We also have Karna, who is brooding and beautiful, and he hopes to bury his brutal past, but he finds that destiny is a miser when it comes to granting second chances. Then we also have hero-turned-torturer Shakuni, limping through a path of daggers, while his foes and woes multiply, leaving little time for vengeance. Their lives are about to become more difficult, as a cast of sinister queens, naive kings, pious assassins, and ravenous priests are converging, where the son of darkness is prophesied to rise, even as forgotten gods prepare to play their hand. I'm out. There's too many names. I can't handle it.
There's a lot going on.
That's a hot mess. I'm sorry. So we're not here to bash books that we haven't read, but I am not personally interested in this one because there's so much happening. It is described as the House of the Dragon, which I love, meets Succession, which I have yet to watch and need to, and an epic reimagining of the Mahabharata, which I just struggled to say. I haven't had much caffeine today, people. Sorry.
I haven't either.
It's the day after New Year's Day, so
I know
we're continuing to be hungover. And anyway, so that's Sons of Darkness, and the publisher is Head of Zeus, and they do come up with amazing, really good books. So I apologize for being bitchy about this one. Too much going on. It comes out January 9, and the author is Gaurav Mohanty.
I don't think it's a problem. Like, there's some books where I'm just like, I don't have the headspace for this right now. Yeah. So I get it. My final book today, which I think might be the one I'm most looking forward to. There's a ton of great books out this month, though. So it is called Where You End by Abbott Collar, and it comes out January 16th. This is a addictive thriller with lots of twists and turns. Ooh. We have our main character, whose name is Cat Bird. She wakes up from a coma, and she sees her mirror image, who is Jude, her twin sister. And Jude's face and name are the only memories that Cat has before her accident. So Cat does try to make some sense of things like, who am I? Where am I? What actually happened? She's trying to talk to her sister. So Jude takes this opportunity, and she gives her sister a brand new past. This is one that is worlds away from the lives that they actually led. She spins tales of an idyllic childhood, exotic travels, a bright future. So Kat's like, hey, that's cool, but if everything was so perfect, who are the mysterious people following me? And
oh, yikes!
Why does she have this uncontrollable flashes of violent rage that happens and jeopardizes a sweet new romance with her new person? So Kat has all of these things just building up, but she doesn't really get it. And she now feels duped by her sister, the one person that she felt she could trust the most. And now Kat has to untangle fact from fiction. She pulls at the threads of Jude's elaborate tapestry, but she has no idea of the catastrophe she's inviting. At stake is not just the twins' relationship, but their very survival. Apparently, this is a very creepy and beautifully written book about revenge, intrigue, and redemption. So this is called Where You End by Abbott collar. And that is it, I believe, for all of our dark... Oh, do we have more?
We have 2 more. I have Wild Magic and you have Womb City.
I totally forgot. So sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
We insist on telling you people about 2 more books.
Yes.
My next book is Wild Magic by Alexandra Ivy. It comes out January 2, which is today. It is a dark fantasy. When old world demons, modern day mages, and irresistible attraction collide, desire becomes the most powerful and dangerous weapon of all. It is slated to be a book series. This is the first one. It's about a time when demons reigned. Oh, I miss those good old days. Just kidding. That was before they were forced to retreat to the shadows. Today, in hidden corners across the globe, their evil blood still pools, and the authority of their new rulers, the vampire cabal, must never be challenged. I'll leave it to a Jersey girl to change ancient history. At 16, when Perry's wild magic first appeared, she was forced to flee her Wyoming ranch and her suddenly murderous family to save her own life. I hate it when my family turns murderous.
Oh, sorry, Carrie. I'll go back to the hole that I crawled out of.
On the East Coast, tutored by mages who run the Witch's Brew bookstore cafe, Perry's world seems magically tranquil until her estranged mother and a coven of witches are slaughtered. Now, to solve the violent mysteries of her past, she must put her trust, body, and soul in a sensual immortal who is every woman's darkest fantasy.
Wow.
His name is Valen, and he's a golden-eyed vampire. He's never wanted more than to claim an untamed female like Perry. Lured into each other's orbit and working together against a resurrected evil brings them intimately closer to danger, blood betrayals, all-consuming passion, and to sacrifices that must be made to save themselves and the world. So the publisher is Kensington, a very reputable publisher of fantasy romances. This is Wild Magic. It's coming out just in paperback on January 2, and the author is Alexandra Ivy, and it's part of the Magic for Hire series.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. My last book, and I'm really glad you actually stopped me from ending so quickly, because this is actually number 1 on my list now. I just read skimmed it, and I was like, that is my top book for this month. It's Womb City. This is by Tluto Sumasi. I hope I said that correctly. This comes out January 23rd. This is an Afrofuturist horror novel, which is like my favorite, and we don't get enough of them.
We do not.
This blends The Handmaid's Tale with Get Out, and it's of course it's cyberpunk, and it's got some Ghost in the Shell in there too, which is like very cool. So it's kind of like this ghost story that explores motherhood, memory, and a woman's right to own her own body. Lots of cool stuff in here. So this is what it says. Nayla seems to have it all: fame, wealth, and a long-awaited daughter growing in a government lab. But trapped in a loveless marriage to a policeman who uses a microchip to monitor her every move, Nayla's perfect life is precarious. After a drug-fueled evening culminates in an eerie car accident, Nayla commits a desperate crime and buries the body, daring to hope that she can keep one last secret. The truth claws its way into Nayla's life from the grave, as the ghost of her victim viciously hunts down the people Nayla holds dear. She is thrust into a race against the clock in order to save any of her remaining loved ones. Nayla must unravel the political conspiracy her victim was on the verge of exposing or risk losing everyone. So this is set in a cruel futuristic surveillance state where bodies are government-issued resource. And it sounds really interesting because, like, just having that overtone with this story is it's just cool. And the cover is so phenomenal. It's creepy. So this is called Womb City. This is by Tluto Sumasi. And that, I promise, is the end of this podcast episode. So these are all of the adult fiction reads coming out that we thought were really cool in January of 2024. Make sure to join us on our other socials. We have YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook to see some of these cool book covers and to check out our show notes. Of course, those are, again, affiliate links there. So thank you so much for your continued support. And join us on our Amazon Live channel if you like creepy stuff in general. We do live stream over there more than just books. We do tarot cards and stuff like that. Thank you again. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday and Friday for new episodes, and we appreciate you. I hope everyone is having a great new year so far, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.